Hey, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, Vincent LaRusso and I are going to take a look back at the Kiss album, Hot in the Shade. We'll talk about that era of music, of Kiss. We'll go track by track, let you know what we like and don't like. And we really look forward to seeing and reading and hearing your thoughts and comments as well. Alrighty, lots to cover in this episode. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So let's jump in and let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Today, I'm excited to have with me my buddy, my comrade, Mr. Vincent LaRusso. How you doing, bloody?
I'm good. I brought the boys in with me today.
I could see that, man. You're all prepared. It's funny because, what is it, an hour and a half ago, we had no plans on recording an episode today. And you
Mm,
texted me that, like I said before, in the words of Pat Benatar, you're all fired up.
all fired up. That's all fired up.
So I'll just put this out there right now. I can't promise that this is going to be one of our typical episodes. I don't know. Vincent said he's in a mood. He's all fired
Mm,
up. He wanted to get on. He wanted to talk about a Kiss album. And I just said, let's do it.
mm.
Let's waste no time. So we jumped on
Yes.
with no preparation basically ahead of time. And here we are. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go.
So much that there's no preparation. I don't even have my ratings. I'm going to go along. This is the first.
Wow.
I'm going
Well,
to rate as you go.
great as you go. Well, you did do
Yeah,
a listen ahead of time, so it's not like
I did.
you
I
haven't done
did.
your homework. So, and I
Yes.
assume for prosperity's sake, you have this Excel spreadsheet ready and all.
With the right formula. I already checked that.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I wasn't going to bring up the formula again, but
15 songs. Yes, I do have it.
very
Yes.
good, very good, excellent. So yeah, so you texted me, like I said, about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, and you're like, "All right, I just listened to Hot in the Shade. We need to talk about this album." But
Yeah.
before we get into the album, it's
I think my language was a little different from that.
a little bit different, but I didn't want to tip
Or
your
what?
hand just yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, let's just say that you are colorful in your text
Yes.
message to
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
but like I always try to do when we do these look backs on a Kiss record, I like to kind of paint the picture, if you will. Now, normally when I do that, I say, well, this
Now,
album.
when you paint the picture, do you hire wet paint coated to do that?
No, actually hire Paul, and he comes in and he paints it for me. What Payco went out of business decades ago, unfortunately. People have no idea what you're talking about with
Uh,
that.
yeah. Okay, good. I'm
That's okay.
sorry.
That's
Yeah.
quite all right, my friend. Usually, what I like to do is say, oh, this album came out as it did 1989, and these were the other albums that came out during that time period. But I was thinking about it. In this particular case, I think it's important not to talk about the albums that came out in 1989, but to talk about maybe 1988 for a moment, right? Because
Hmm.
that's when Kiss was going into the studio well, they were their respective areas writing songs or whatever. And I kind of feel like this album maybe feeds off of what was happening in 88 into early 89, right? So when I look back in 1988, Guns N' Roses Lies was popular, which is obviously one side acoustic, one side was a re-release of some live songs.
Mm.
So Cinderella's Long Cold Winter, I think that's certainly an influence on this album. Cheap Trick had Lap of Luxury with The Flame being a big hit, right? And I think that played a part in maybe some of the songwriting on this album. And even Van Halen's Oh You Wait One too, with Finish What You Started, with a little bit of an acoustic flavor. And I just felt like as I was looking back on this, I'm like, yeah, I think, especially Paul Stanley, but even Gene Simmons is hearing those songs in 88 and they're getting ready to write a new album, and those albums had to have influenced them. Do you think those albums influenced the songwriting on this?
I do, and I do think even if you want to go a little bit further back, the Hysteria album I think still influenced
Yep.
this album. I mean, yeah, certainly all those albums that you've mentioned. I think Kiss was still chasing at this point.
Yeah.
Their not their peers, but their what's the other word for people who are
To me, they
alongside
were
them?
their peers. It's their
Yeah,
peers.
okay. When I look at peers, I think of people who are above them, but you know
Okay. Well, you can make a case that all those bands potentially were above Kiss at this point, also.
you're right,
You know,
exactly.
which
That's
is
true.
one of the reasons why Kiss was chasing those trends. I
Yeah.
think it's also important just to point out that the Crazy Nights album that had come out before this, the band had huge expectations, great expectations even for that
Yeah.
album.
Yeah.
And it certainly didn't live up to what they were hoping for. And I think there was pressure on their side to A, produce a hit album, B, to produce a hit single, right? When you see some of these bands I just rattled off, and even the Bon Jovis, and you mentioned the Def Leppards, the Poisons, they were all having big radio success at that time. And Kiss really wasn't. And the Crazy Nights album was not the success they were hoping for. Paul had just done a solo tour for the first time in his career. And, I think there was just a lot of, Kiss not living up to expectations basically coming into this album.
I agree.
So they go ahead, they start writing for the album, and then what's interesting to me is because of the lack of success they're having, they really can't record the album the way they have in the past, and a lot of these songs are basically polished demos at this point. So when you listen to the album, we'll start talking song by song. Do you hear that in the? Yeah, I mean, you have to be, I guess, deaf to not to hear it, right? But to me, does it stand out even from back in '89 when you first heard this album? Did that stand out to you that these are more so like polished demos?
Not in '89, it didn't. I mean,
It
we didn't
did,
have the kind of it didn't have the kind of we didn't have the kind of resources back then, to know that. I mean, listen, when did you discover that Pyromania was a drum machine?
right?
I mean, I know in the whole
Years
'80s,
later.
I never knew
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Whether it's we didn't have the information or our ears weren't as matured to figure those things out.
Yeah.
So same goes for this. I didn't think back then when I listened, oh, these are demos. Oh, wait, did Eric Carr really play that? Is that an electronic
Right.
drum set? I still don't even know. You and I have talked about that in the past. I still don't even know if I have the definitive answer on that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I don't think there
um,
is a definitive answer, unfortunately. It depends on which interview you read, which year you're reading it from. There's everything
mhm.
from Eric Carr played everything to Eric Singer is on some of them because they were demos, even though Singer has said no, he's not on the album. Kevin Valentine has said he's on the album on some of the songs. Um, some people still think that Singer is on some of the songs because he did the demos. I don't think we'll ever, and then there's a drum machine on some songs as well. So I don't think we'll ever
Mhm.
have a definitive answer, but certainly some of the songs you could hear it's a drum machine.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is the drum sound is really consistent throughout the album.
Yeah,
It's not like all of a sudden you hear another song and it's like, wait, well, oh, the drum, it sounds like it was recorded. It's pretty consistent. So, my feeling is, did they use some sort of electronic triggering for the electronic drums rather than just like a pure, like back in the day, they had the Simmons kits, not
hmm
Gene Simmons kits,
hmm
Simmons kits.
Yep.
Um, Certainly with the snare drum, I hear it. It's like that gated electronic snare. It sounds like, I mean, it's like clear if you hear something like, Rise to It or Betrayed, it's like that. And again, it could have just been a produced sound in the studio. I mean, that's what they were going for,
Yeah.
is really, really going for that
Yeah.
sound. But
Yep, and that's one of the reasons I even brought up Van Halen's "Oh You Wait One" too, because I think of a song like "Mine Oh Mine," and man, that has such electronic drum sounds to it, and that was just what bands were doing at that time,
mm-hmm.
for better or worse, depending on your point of view. So yeah, I think at that time we didn't really pay much attention that, hey, is that really Eric Carr playing? Is that a drum machine? Because that was basically the way many albums sounded at that time.
What we did pay attention to was that the album came out. We were thoroughly excited,
Yes.
and even we've talked about this in the past. I specifically remember where I sat in my basement. We went through every one of these songs, and oh, it's not a bad song. Oh yeah, because we were always ready for the Kiss shitburgers on the album. We were always
Right.
ready for it. And it's usually, I hate to say it, usually was a Gene song.
Yep.
Although Paul had a couple of them, and especially but when they tried on Crazy Nights, you know what's the infamous song that was, pour some sugar on me wannabe song that
On Crazy Nights.
yeah. Remember we were hearing all about it, like, oh, they were writing the
Oh,
song. Come on.
um, Bang Bang You.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly. And we were just like, boo boo you. It was just like, no, man,
Mhm.
no, this is not good.
Yeah.
But anyways, um, but I just remember, so I just remember, going into this, had very fond memories back then. That's why I felt it was interesting now listening to it, how I feel about it now. And it just
Yes.
does take me back to a certain time in my life and whatnot. But so that's why I think this is going to be an interesting journey.
Yes, and yes, absolutely, because I have that exact same memory. I remember in '89, you loved this album, especially the first song, Rise to It with the slide. I remember you were like, probably at that point, if we were giving ratings, you might have been like a 12 out of 10, just to
Yeah.
start with the start of the album. So I'll definitely be curious to see how this record has evolved in your mind over the last few decades.
Mm.
So you listened to it beheaded this. When was the last time you actually listened to this album front to back before now?
Front to back? I may have in the last couple of years. I
Okay.
because there was a time where like I listened to Crazy Nights, I listened to this,
Mhm.
Asylum, Animalize. I did do that. And I
Yep.
think all those other records we did review, some of them, at least I remember, right? We did
Yep.
Asylum, we did
Yeah.
Animalize.
Uh,
Um,
I know
did we do
we did
Asylum?
Crazy Nights. I don't remember if we did Asylum. We might have done Asylum. I don't think we did Analyze yet.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I think in just when you get into that groove of like, hey, let me go back and listen to these
Yes.
records.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So I would say within the last couple of years.
So before we get to side A, song one, which we'll get to in a moment, you buy the album, you pick it up. It's got that Sphinx on the front cover.
Hated the cover. Hated the
Yes,
cover.
me
Goodness,
too.
hated. I thought like this is an ugly ass cover. I
I
just like.
agree.
I mean, Crazy Nights is, I think, very underrated album
Agreed.
cover. I think it's
Agreed.
one of their best. Such a cool and the back shot. Although I don't need to see Paul Stanley's underwear. But it was just
Mhm.
the four pictures like that, the
Yep.
colors that they use. It was, I just thought the artwork on that album was great. This,
Agreed.
I'm just like, ugh.
The artwork to me on this album cover always looks a bit cheap, which goes right in line with them using polished demos. I just felt like it was just thrown together. It felt like cheap artwork to me.
Well, and then even I remember being in concert and seeing the Sphinx on there. And
Yes.
although it was different, I just was like, man, that thing looks weird.
Mhm.
And then they wound up using it on Revenge too, right? Didn't they use the same or
In Europe, they used it. Yeah.
right? Yes.
Yep.
So I was just like, so it's talking about cheap, I guess, and we understand Kiss wasn't, the Kiss of its prime, making a lot of money, selling out every show, and they were
Yep.
doing their best. So I can't even criticize them for that. They
Right.
did what they had to do to keep the Kiss motor running.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. So why don't we jump into the album? Because I'm really, really curious
mm,
to see where this goes. So I already kind of tipped that earlier in the your life, 1989,
mhm.
1990, the first song Rise to It. Man, I remember you thoroughly throwed over this one with the slide guitar intro. And you were very big into Cinderella at that time and the Long Cold Winter album you loved and you still love. So, but Rise to It, what are your thoughts on that now in 2025?
I mean, I even watched a video recently on
Hmm.
it, and it's an okay song. You get very excited. You think it's going to be like this bluesy kind of song, and I think that's why I was like, "Oh, yeah, slide."
Uh-huh.
Like, you know, they finally listened, and tried to change their style. But I think it's an average song. I really can't give it anything higher than a five, quite honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I tend to agree. Even back then, I didn't love it anywhere near as much as you. Um, it's good. It's far from great to me.
Hmm.
The video was cool, and you mentioned watching the video, and obviously we'd be remiss if we don't mention that Paul and Gene put the makeup back on at that time for that video. And do you remember what you thought of the video at that time with them wearing makeup?
I mean, I thought that was very exciting, and it was like,
Hmm.
oh my God, to see them in the makeup again. I thought that was really cool, and they still looked great, on the two of them. And I thought it was a great idea. And it was like you start wondering again, hey, you wonder if they're going to ever do that again. So
Yep.
that was kind of fun. I enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I enjoyed it as well at the time. I know some people at the time got hung up on the fact that Paul and Gene were wearing outfits from different eras from each other and different from what the front where it said it was 1975. that never fazed me. It was more about the fact that they were wearing the makeup again. It bothered me at the time that Eric Carr wasn't wearing makeup, but I understood why if they wanted to make it a flashback to 75. But I wish Eric was wearing the makeup. Obviously, would have made it even trickier with Bruce having never worn makeup. So, but I think it's a fun video. I actually like the video. I like the video better than the song. I'll go with a 5.5 on this one.
Okay, let me put that in.
Yeah. All righty.
You know,
Betrayed, the first Gene song on the album. Go ahead, my
fucking
friend.
fucking Deuce wannabe. Fucking Deuce wannabe.
Uh,
Again, not a horrible song. I just feel like again, it's just an average song. Uh, it got me excited. Like, oh, they're using the Deuce groove again.
mhm.
These things have not aged well with me. I'm probably going to lose the three fans I have after this podcast. You know what I mean? But
Uh,
again, it's not a bad song. I'm just going to give it another five, honestly.
okay. Okay.
You know.
Yeah, this is one from Gene that I've always liked, and I think it's one of his better songs from the non-makeup years. I think it suffers from poor production, and this is one of the songs to me that sounds a little bit like it's a demo. I wish this had a beefier sound on the recording. I think this could
Hmm.
be even better. It's also the first time I believe that we get to see Tommy Thayer's name on an official Kiss release. He's a co-write on this one and one other song on the album as well. But actually, I like this one. I'm going to go with a 7 on this. I wish they had played it the first couple of times. I think in California they played it, and then they dropped it and didn't do it on the proper tour. I wish they kept this on tour. I think it could have really sounded good live. I like this. I'll stick with my 7.
All right, I'll up this to a 5.5, and I'm thinking about it because I can't say I like it the same as Rise to It.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll
Yeah.
change that to a 5.5.
I got you up to a 5.5. Look at that.
Mhm.
Nice. All righty. The first single on the album, Hide Your Heart, which we kind of knew about at this point because it was left off of Crazy Nights. Paul had done this song on his solo tour. Um, Ace was releasing it on his album. It was released on other albums. So this is a song that certainly by this point had made its rounds. A little surprising in hindsight that this would be the lead single from the album, based on the fact that it was kind of played all over the place. But yeah, I'll go first. I don't think this is a bad song. It's not a great song, but I don't think it's a bad song. I'm surprised it was left off of Crazy Nights. I'll go with a 6.5 on this one.
Okay. Again, I think you even know back then I was not a huge fan of this song.
Yeah.
Um, we did get the preview of it. I was never really, I think there was a lot of hype on Paul's part on this song, understandably. But this was never it's just never. I mean, I appreciated that they wrote a song that wasn't about the usual,
Right.
lyric, and they tried in that respect. But honestly, again, this song, it's not like it doesn't have like a bad chorus. It's got the little, and now you come to find out, later on that Paul Stanley with the Motown thing. I certainly think that the hey hey hey
Hmm.
do was kind of harkening back of that kind of thing. But
Sure.
again, I'll give this a 5.5. This one.
Okay. It's funny. I think back to when the end of the road tour started, and I'd seen them out in California, like one of the first like 10 shows of the tour, and they actually were doing Hide Your Heart at the start of the end of the road tour. And I remember it surprised me, not because they were doing a song from the 80s, but I thought that, something like Tears Are Falling was a better representation of this era.
Mm.
So I was a little surprised at first that Hide Your Heart was in the set list, but they dropped it pretty quickly. So I have a feeling most fans would say this is not the best song from the singles in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really run into somebody who I've ever heard how much they really, and even, I mean, we've been to a whole bunch of concerts when they played this song, a whole
Yeah,
bunch, but whatever. I don't remember the crowd like being so excited
no,
about this song. I really
agreed.
don't. I think Paul Stanley was certainly more in love with the song than anybody else was ever,
Probably. Yes,
and even in the
yes.
Kiss camp. So
Yep,
again,
probably a true statement. So, all righty, then let's go to the next Gene song, Prisoner of Love. Go ahead, my friend.
um, is this the Lookout song or no? Is that no? I think that's another one.
I think it's another one.
Prisoner
Yeah,
of
that's
Love.
yeah, that's
We can't
Street
break
Kid.
these Yeah, right. Look out. Right, that's right. This is one of the songs. But now listen, I mean, this is an album with those now listen. I told you,
Well,
I've,
and
you know,
anytime Paul and Gina produce an album, you get told to listen at least 10 times.
oh God, yeah. Prisoner of Love again, a mediocre chorus. It's okay. It's kind of flat. These are one of these infamous flat G songs that don't
Mhm.
really. It's just funny. This album just has an overall tone to it. And the
Mhm.
only other thing, God bless Bruce, love Bruce, but every guitar solo almost sounds the same to me on this record. It
Mhm.
just, I don't know if it's just the bed that they they made for him to play over. So it
Right.
just got a very similar, same sandpipe kind of
Yep.
sound to it. But Prisoner of Love, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 on this one because I can't say it's Rise to It's a better song. So
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Yeah, I'd probably say Rise to It is a slightly better song than this, but I think this song again had potential, and I wish this is another one that had better production. Um, I think there's a hook there to be had. I just don't know if it was fleshed out enough with the recording. To me, it's not as bad some of the Gene Clunkers from the 80s that exist, but it's not a great song either. So I go to
Mm,
5 on this.
yeah. Okay. Ugh.
All right.
The
Read my body.
fucking pour some sugar on me. Fucking wanna be
Oh, that's right. When you said the
fucking
pour some sugar wannabe on Crazy
uh,
Nights, my first thought was, no, it's on
yeah.
this album, Read My Body.
Yeah. Ugh. Boo on this song. Yeah,
So
no.
I could see where this is going. You're a big fan.
Get to the good stuff. We're not getting to the good stuff with this song. That's what I tell you. It's
Oh,
terrible. Oh, yeah. This is. I mean, I don't know. What do I rate this? A 2.5. Two and a
yeah.
half.
Look,
Two and a half.
I agree. In fact, I gave the song a 3, right? So we're right
Yeah.
there in the same ballpark. But I asked myself this, why does Read My Body translate so poorly, 2.5 to 3 for us? Yet I bet if we both were rating Pour Some Sugar on Me, we'd rate that at least a 7 or higher, probably. And they're, like you said, same Cinnamon Sandpipe type of song. Why do you think the Def Leppard one resonates so well and Read My Body is so poorly received?
Well, first of all, Pour Some Sugar on Me has a much greater chorus. It's just such a
Uh-huh.
better
Agreed.
chorus.
Yeah.
Lyrically, I think Pour Some Sugar on Me, even though it's, you know, he's got some Paul Stanley things. He could have said, "You've got the peaches, I got the cream." We know what the
Yes.
hell he's talking
Mhm,
about.
mhm.
He's not talking about food.
No.
I just think it's just a bit more clever. Again, I think Paul was chasing what was created there.
Mhm,
The clone.
mhm.
We know what happened with the attack of the clones. It's like, and I just think it just got a better overall sound. Even the version
Mhm,
and the and then the way it starts, yeah,
mhm.
and it's Mutt Lang, and then the riff comes a better riff. It's just
Right.
it's just just a better production. It's just maybe if Mutt Lang produced this album, maybe this would have been a better song.
Who knows? Right. Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
Maybe.
come on, you got to give credit to where it's credit's due. I mean, Def Leppard is arguably as good as Mutt Lang. I mean, listen, not that we're going to Def Leppard, but the album before Pyromania was High
High
and
and
Dry.
dry. High and dry. Mhm.
I still think I haven't listened to it in years. I remember back then I thought it was a good album,
Yeah. I
so
just listened to it last week.
yeah, so Def Leppard was, a hugely talented band. But yeah, this album, I mean, this song is just.
Yeah. Now, the funny thing is, and I don't have it here in front of me, but if you were to get the original pressing of Hot in the Shade with the hype sticker on it, it lists Read My Body as one of the songs that they were hyping.
which is
So,
which we know why that song was written and why it's on
yes,
the album,
yes. Oh, of
so
course. But I wonder who decided first to put on the hype sticker because, all right, this is going to be the next Pour Some Sugar on Me. But then who decided, no, it's not. We're not even going to release that as a single. We're not going to look to promote that song. Kiss is never going to perform it live. I wonder who made that like about face on that decision.
all right, so I'll tell you what happened. The A&R guy was in the room while they were playing the song, and he was like this. Then he woke up and realized the song had played. Then the
Uh,
time came when they were going to release it, and then they said, "Wait, we can't release this shit sandwich."
right.
I mean, Obviously that's not a true story, but
No, it's not.
so, somebody was asleep at the wheel. I got to feel,
Yeah.
there's the infamous guy. I don't know. I'm gonna probably kill his name, John Kalodner.
Yeah.
You could see he was, part of Pump, and he kind of talks like this, and
Hmm.
I really think this should be this. Janie's got a gun. Yeah, this is probably the best thing you ever put out.
Hmm.
If a guy like that, I think, was in the room listening to this, he would have been like, "No way."
Right.
There's no way, because that
Yep.
guy's, he's got a good ear for
Yeah.
for what should be released as hits,
Agreed.
or singles.
Agreed. Yeah. I just wonder who behind the scenes made that initial decision and then the about face. I've never heard anybody talk about it, but clearly to me and you, obviously the right decision was not to release this as a single.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all righty. Next up then, Love's a slap in the face. Go ahead, my friend.
The song is a slap in the face. It's like this is a definite drum machine song. It's got
Yes.
to be. I don't think there's a drum fill in the song,
Hmm.
and it's one of those boring Gene songs that
Yes.
just now listen. Na 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 na. Again, they're doing the na na na. They
Mhm.
tried. Like I give them credit. They were trying to do things. They're trying to make it catchy. This album is all about effort. I'm not gonna say Kiss didn't make a good effort on these songs. They were trying to hit the little, if they had a bulletin board on these are the things
Mhm.
we have to touch upon. I think they really did try, but it
Mhm.
just doesn't hold up in my. So this song, Prison of Love, I gave a 4.5. Love is like a slap in the face. I give this a 4.2. I mean,
So
it's
you
just,
rated it lower than Prisoner of Love.
only because at least he's Prisoner has a
Yeah. Hmm.
it's got like it's more upbeat,
I think Prisoner
so
of Love has great verses. So
yeah.
yeah. So, and I agree with you, by the way. So I think Prisoner of Love is a better Gene song than Love's Like a Slap in the Face. This, you said it perfectly, just goes nowhere. This song goes absolute. This is when I think of clunky, boring Gene songs from the 80s, this is the type of song that comes to mind. At least to me, Prisoner of Love was upbeat. And I think, again, with better production, that could have even been a higher rated song for me. I don't think the case with Love's Like Slap in the Face was cheap, cheap. This is one that should have been left off the album. The album did not need 15 songs on it, and this is certainly one of the songs that I would have been leaving off. I'll go to four on this one.
Okay. All right,
All right.
putting it in there.
Yep. The next one, the big hit on the album. Forever.
If Michael McDonald sang it.
Yes, exactly. So go ahead, my friend, forever.
I mean, yeah, I mean, back in the day, I loved the song, and I still think the song holds up really well. Um, but one of the things I thought to myself when I listened to it, is this song better than Reason to Live?
Okay.
I mean, this is the reason to live on this record, right?
Yes, it is.
It's
Yep.
the ballad.
Mhm.
And I really thought about that, because I never had a problem with Reason to Live. I thought that
Mhm.
song could have been a big hit. I think if it wasn't
Mhm.
Kiss and it was another band, it would have been a big hit,
Yep.
you know? Um, but that being said, how do I rate Forever today? This is a tough one. I'm feeling it as an 8.5 right now. That's what
Okay.
I'm feeling Forever as.
I thought you were going lower than that based on your body language.
No, no, because I think back in the day I would have given it a 10. I would have been
Okay.
like, this is the perfect ballad. And I'm not even
Right.
saying it's not a great ballad.
So, but
I
where do
think
you land? Is this better than Reason to Live in your mind? Why not?
I'm leaning more towards the Reason to Live right now, I think.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I would not have ever guessed that.
Um, yeah. Yeah. There's something about the feeling on Reason to Live that I really like.
Hmm.
I love listen, I love the way the song starts here too, with
Hmm.
just acoustic. But I just love Paul's vocal in the verses on Reason to Live. And against that keyboard, yeah, it's a keyboard song, and it's got a great pre-chorus. And
Hmm.
but the one thing I haven't touched upon of this era of Paul Stanley, and as I was listening to the album, man, Paul singing these high vocals really grains on me. I'm like,
Hmm.
the era of the rock and roll overs in that 70s when he was in that mid voice, so much better to me. And I understand why he was doing this. He was, again, trying to compete with all these, guitar, with the guitar acrobatics that the guitar
Hmm.
players were competing, and the vocalists were all kind of trying to bring it up to the highest level. So I
Yep.
understand, you know, even to the point where they weren't tuning down anymore. They were, writing songs in, so, but yeah, that's where I land this one at 8.5.
Yeah. Well, and going back to Paul singing in that higher register, I think it was the Billy Corgan interview he did recently where he said he acknowledged like, oh, in the 80s I learned I could sing in this higher register. Doesn't mean I should have been, but I learned that I could. And yeah, I agree with you. Now, thankfully to me, Forever is not one of those songs that he's up in the higher register. I happen to think still that this is an absolutely great song. This is the song that I'll say it disappoints me that in the last 10, 15 years of Kiss's career, Paul was losing his voice because, in my mind, no doubt that on the end of the road tour, this song should have been in the set list. It was Kiss's biggest hit in terms of the non-makeup years. It was one of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest hits of their career, and it was really never represented in the set list besides the Hot in the Shade tour, which just
Mm-hmm.
blows my friggin' mind. Even well, I guess they also did it on the Revenge tour. So let me make sure I acknowledge that. But then by 1992, this was out of the set list basically for the rest of their career, which is a shame. I
Yeah.
love the guitar solo in this. I know at first Bruce did not think of doing an acoustic solo and was kind of pushed to do it. And I think he freaking nails it. I love the solo in this. I personally think this song is definitely better than Reason to Live. I like Reason to Live. I don't love it. I love this song. I'm going to go with a 9.5 on this one.
Okay.
Yeah. All righty. Silver Spoon.
Minus Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah, go ahead, my friend. Silver Spoon.
Again, this is a very feels kind of a similar sandpipe kind of song for this album.
Hmm.
I think you always hated the female vocals coming in at the end. You
Yes.
probably still hate it. Again, do you remember I told you about the bulletin board? Like, let's try to hit
Yeah.
these points. Let's get a horn section in. Let's get female vocals. Not a bad song, you
And to
know.
me, I'll say that's the Aerosmith influence.
Oh yeah, of course.
Mhm.
But again, I'm giving this a 5.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, look, like you said, the female singers at the end at the time in 1989 irritated me because it just, I don't know, it didn't feel like it belonged to me. I felt like they were trying to be Aerosmith or trying to be some of these other bands. I listen to it now in 2025. It doesn't bother me anymore,
Hmm.
to be honest with you. I see what they were trying to do. The problem for me is it's just a pretty average song. It's not great, definitely not, but
Hmm.
it's not bad. It's not an 80s jeans shit sandwich, that's for sure. I'll go with a
Hmm.
5.5 on this one.
Okay.
All righty. Cadillac jeans. Doo-doo, doo-doo.
Again, it's kind of the same thing. It feels very even, and this is the song that they did put the horn section at, you
Yep.
know. Not even a horrible chorus on it. Was that one more
Hmm.
that's all right. I mean, cool kind of like I got Cadillac Dreams. That's a cool title.
Hmm.
But again, an average song. I'm gonna give this one a 5 too. I
Okay.
can't give it anything under that.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll say we're what about a little more than halfway done, and you said you were all fired up, and I was expecting twos and ones and threes, so
Um,
you're going middle
you
of the
know,
road so far. Maybe you'll get to some twos and ones and threes, who
mm,
knows? But look,
mm,
I tend to I know a lot of Kiss fans say strongly dislike this song for some reason. The song never bothered me. To me, it was so Gene.
mm,
Again, with all the Gene clunkers in the '80s, this for me is not one of them. Not that it's a great
mm,
song, but to me, this just has such Gene personality in it, right? Money, money, that's all I need. I mean, come on, that's
mm,
Gene, right? I don't know if Gene ever wrote a more honest lyric than he did in
mm.
this song. So,
That's true.
this song never bothered me. There was something about it that was fun, albeit not great, but still fun. I'm going to go with a 5.7 on this.
Okay. Okay.
Next up, Paul Stanley's King of Hearts. Go
Is
ahead,
this
my friend.
the horror song? Is this the Jason or Jaws? Ding, 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 ding,
Yes.
ding. Actually, no, I realized what this song reminded me of that intro. All these years, I'm like, what? It's the
Let's see.
fucking Mamma Mia song by ABBA. Dun, 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 dun,
Okay.
dun, dun, dun,
Mhm.
dun, 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 Mamma Mia. Dun, dun, dun. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, it's
I
fucking
never thought that. That's interesting.
Mamma Mia fest all these years.
Mamma Mia Fest.
What I think is cool about this, I mean, again, not a bad chorus, but like the vocal has, like he's singing and the kind of the background vocals kind of following him.
Hmm.
I'm the king of
Yeah.
I think it's got some redeeming qualities to this
Yeah.
the song. And I think is this the one where it starts with that thing, and then he says, "Do it, do it."
Yeah.
It's got the. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, like those things. Just like at this point in my life, it just turns me over to do it and
Mhm.
listens, and I understand.
Mhm.
Again, I understand why they did it. I
Mhm.
get it, but just like I'm just like,
Mhm.
yeah. So that being said, King of Hearts, I give 5.5.
Okay, well, so this is one I'm going to say that we somewhat strongly disagree on. I happen to think this is one of the most underrated songs of the 80s.
Mm.
I really like this. I don't care that if it's an ABBA ripoff at the beginning. I think it's got a great hook. I love the chorus, like you said.
Hmm.
I think Paul's vocal on this is great. It's one of his, to me, best vocals of the 80s. Believe it or not, I'm going to go with an 8 on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably well, it is probably my favorite song on the album, and well,
Mm.
except for Forever,
You mean it's not Boomerang?
and certainly not Boomerang. And
Yeah.
yeah, this is one I wish had a little bit more legs behind it in terms of live performances. I was so thrilled when Bruce performed it on the cruise, but I wish Kiss had performed this on tour. This
Mm.
very happy with that song. Next up, the street giveth, and the street
Fucking,
taketh away.
fucking Tommy Thayer fest. Not that I'm blaming
Tommy
Tommy
Lee.
on this.
Uh-huh.
I just remember at the time saying, "Who the hell's Tommy Thayer?" Not realizing maybe at that point, that he was in Black and Blue. Although I did have two or three of those records, I think.
Hmm.
Um, what was he saying? There's no street give it, street take it away, and there's no
No
what?
black justice. No way.
Yeah, I don't know. This song, it's a zero for me. It's like it's not even a horrible chord. I don't know. It's just like this album to me. I mean, I know I'm throwing out a lot of fives, here, but
Hmm.
it just I give this a four, I guess.
A
I'll be a little
four.
generous. I'll give it be a little generous here, I guess. I
A
don't know.
generous four. Wow. Not even a solid four, a generous four. Yeah, so you know what? I'm going to disagree with you again. I happen to like this song. I always liked the way the acoustic guitar went through the song a bit. I think it's got a good hook. I'm going to go with a 6.2 on this one.
I think we
I,
see the trend with this record. It's
I,
usually the other way around.
I am a fan. Well, you know, I've always said that this album to me has a potential to be a really good album. It's just too many damn songs on it.
Yeah.
And there's a couple they left off that shouldn't have been left off. But yeah, Street Give It is one that and again, I know a lot of fans, I think, point to this one and say it should be removed. I disagree. Yeah, I'm going to
Hmm.
stick with my rating on this one.
Okay.
All right. Love Me to Hate You. I think it's one of the Desmond Child co-writes on the album, if I remember right.
Not one of the finest ones, and I'll say that. This is one of those, Paul Stanley chorus, especially when it says "Hey you" in that upper register. It's
Hmm.
just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not a great chorus. This song has not aged well at all to
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
And again, what am I going to give this? I'm not giving it a five. It's not average to me. So is this the one that goes, "Oh, you want me to da, da,
Yeah.
da, da,
Uh-huh.
da, 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 da." It's got like a
Yeah.
nice build up to a chorus, and then it's just like, "Bew" with this chorus. Bew. I guess I'll give it um, I give it a 3.8.
3.8. Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
I tend to agree. This is when you look at the Paul and Desmond Child co-writes, this is not one of them that you can be talking about 40 years from now. We're probably besides you and I right now on this podcast, not talking about it at all, really. Saying that, I do like the verses with Paul singing in like a not a deeper voice, but like a quieter, softer voice. And then I like the build up to the chorus, and then the freaking chorus comes in. I'm like, geez, that's one of the maybe top 10 worst Paul Stanley choruses on any album.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
So like I'm waiting for that big payday, and that payday is so disappointing. But I do like the verses and I do like the pre-chorus. So, but that chorus is just too bad. So for that reason, I have to go definitely below average as well. And I go with a 4.5.
Okay.
All right. Next, we're back to Gene, somewhere between heaven and hell.
Again, this is like what's the song on Crazy Nights?
Hell or high water.
No, the other one.
No, no,
It's
no.
kind of like
Thief in the Night. I'm missing one of the Gene songs. I don't
what
remember
was the,
which
what
one.
was the what was the one he co-wrote with Bruce?
I can't think of what Gene song I'm missing from that album right now off the top of my head. No,
Hmm,
no, no. Hella High Water.
I reckon now.
Thief in the Night. There's one. It's the second song on the second
Right.
side.
I think that's the one.
What the hell's the name of it? I'm drawing a blank. You put me on the spot and I'm drawing a blank. It's like right after Reason to Live, I think.
Good Girl Gone Bad. This is a
Yes.
good
Okay.
girl gone bad.
Okay.
This is a
Oh,
good girl gone bad to me. Not that's not even not a horrible song. It's just that mid Gene.
hmm
It's like whatever. It's okay. The song. It does really nothing for me.
hmm
But it's not a horrible song, but it's not an average song. It's a four.
Okay. I am going to somewhat disagree with you again and say, no, it is a horrible song.
Okay. Okay.
I am not a fan of this song, never have been. This is one that should have never, to me, made it past the friggin' demo stage, and somebody should have just taken that cassette and thrown it against the wall and said, "All right, Gene, try again." So
Yeah. Yeah.
not a fan. Don't like the chorus. Don't like the verses. The title of the song is cool. He could have used that and rewrote the song into something else. So I'm going to go with a three on this one. This is not good.
Okay. Three on that one.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Next up, good old Eric Carr's one and only lead vocal on the Kiss album. After years of waiting, he
Keep you
finally
waiting.
keep me waiting. He finally gets the lead vocal. I know in 1989 you and I were thoroughly throwed over that. Thoroughly throwed. 2025. Are you as throwed?
Fucking song. This song annoys the crap out of me.
Wow.
God,
It
God,
annoys you.
goddamn gene interference on this song. It has to be gene interference. It can't cut you tonight. Come on, that's a fucking geneism. Could they
Uh,
just leave him alone? Let him do his fucking thing. Let him sing the song like he wants.
mhm,
Even he says, I think now listen in the song, I think, if I remember correctly. You know?
mhm.
Um, it's got a good riff. It just sounds like Eric. It sounds like Gene. No, it sounds like Eric singing a Gene song
Okay, yeah.
in a lot of ways. I don't know. The chorus is okay. I never thought it was a great chorus at
hmm
all. I think the verses are much better than the chorus, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
Against the riff, uh, it's a shame that this is the only song besides Beth that's a
Right.
lead vocal by Eric. And God rest his soul, love Eric Carr. I've heard his solo work, and like you said, there's stuff that that was not released that I think is better than the song. And
Yep.
it pains me to, again, it's not a horrible song. So my love for Eric Carr, I'll give it a four. I'm not going to give it anything
hmm
lower than that.
hmm Yeah, I struggle with this song for some of the reasons you just mentioned. Um, for years in the 80s, Eric was my guy. And I
Yeah.
wanted Eric to be singing on an album. And I remember Asylum being disappointed he's not singing. And then Crazy Nights be disappointed he's not singing. Then we hear we're finally getting a song from him. And I swear at that time, 1989, it could have been the worst song ever recorded, and I probably would have loved it just
Of
because
course.
that's the way I felt about Eric Carr. Like you said, in hindsight, he has songs better than this. And I sent you Eyes of Love before this. I'm like, hey, did you ever hear this song? That song was supposedly, written and submitted for the Hot in the Shade album. Far superior than Little Caesar. I don't know why they would
Hmm.
have chosen Little Caesar over Eyes of Love, but I have theories on that, but they're just theories, but I struggle with this because I know objectively this is far from a great song, but
Hmm.
but I have such still, even all these years, an emotional connection to it because it's Eric singing.
Hmm.
So I try to balance that back and forth, and I landed on a five because I'm like, it's not a horrible song, it's not a great song. I have this emotional connection to it, but the reality is, to your point, if Gene sang this, I might have been at a three and a half or a four. But
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
do have that sentimental feeling towards it, and I'm being very honest about that, which probably ups it a point just because of what Eric meant to me all through the 80s and the fact that this is his only song. I keep saying that it's only his original song on a Kiss album that he sings. So I'll stick with my five, knowing that I'm probably being a little bit generous with that.
And let's face facts, it's 15 songs on the album. and they landed this one at number 14. They're like, all right, Eric, you're way at the end here. They didn't even.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they could have even like pushed it up a little bit, maybe. Come on,
Agreed.
I think
Agreed.
that's a little that was a little unfair.
Agreed.
Would
And
they have done
in
that to Would they have done that to Ace or Peter?
no,
No.
of course not. No, of
And I'm
course
not
not.
saying he's Ace or Peter, but you
Right.
understand my point.
Yes, of course. Yep. And I go back to 1990 and I remember being disappointed that they weren't doing this in concert. I know they did it once or twice again before the tour actually started, but I remember when I saw them at the Meadowlands and at the Nassau Coliseum, I was disappointed that they were not doing this song. So
Yeah, yeah.
just that was my mindset in 89, 89, 90 when they were touring. 2025, it's objectively, it's not a great song. I recognize that, but I'm
Mm,
thankful we have it. Put it to you that way. I'm very thankful we have it. So,
I agree. I agree.
all right. Boomerang.
Fucking. Okay, you got to get into the fucking angry mode on this one. This has been your fucking arch nemesis of songs,
Yes.
Kiss songs all these
This
years.
is my arch nemesis of all Kiss songs because it feels so disconnected to me. Musically, it's actually not a bad song to me,
Hmm.
besides the electronic drums in it. But the guitar has and the heaviness of it, it has such potential. And then just the lyrics that were written over it, just like it just to me, something about it just doesn't fit. It feels like a complete train wreck to me, the way this is done. I might enjoy this song far more if it was an instrumental than if it had lyrics in
Mm,
it. I played this for my son probably about 2 years ago. He was like, "Oh, what's the worst Kiss song, Dad?" I said, "Oh, this is easy. It's Boomerang." So come, let me
hmm
hear it. And as I'm listening to it and starting, I'm like, musically, this is not horrible at all,
hmm
right? And
hmm
then the vocals came in, and when it was done, he was just sitting there listening, and he looks at me at the end. He goes, "You think that's the worst Kiss song, really?" He's like, "I don't think that's that bad." I'm like, "Yee, really? All right, you're not my
mm,
son. You're up for adoption."
yeah,
But
yeah.
no, it's
Traitor.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's I can't listen to this song and not just think train wreck. That's the problem that I have with this.
Mm,
It's just a train wreck. I think they had recorded this or written this for the Crazy Nights era and left it off because I remember I had a bootleg video of Bruce doing a guitar convention type thing at a local guitar shop. And somebody asked him about the song Boomerang and why it was left off. He's like, "Well, if you ever heard the song, you'd know why it was left off of an album. It's not good." And then it
mm.
was on the next album. So it's just like, oh man. So at least at that time, now maybe they reworked it. I've never heard the original version of it, but if this is reworked and better, my God, I can't imagine what that original demo sounded like.
Mm.
Uh, I'm gonna go with a two on this one. This is. I could have gone with a one even, but since the music is not horrible, and it, like I said, it would have been better as an instrumental. I'll go with a two. But damn, this is a fucking train wreck.
I agree, and I'm going to give it the same exact reading. Same exact rating. Same exact rating.
Do you agree when somebody says what's the worst Kiss song in the catalog? I mean, this song pops into mind as I think you wanted the best pops in the mind, right? Is it to you maybe the worst Kiss song in the catalog?
It's definitely one of
Yeah.
definitely probably top three. You know,
If I said to you this song or Nothing Can Keep Me From You.
come on. I don't have that. I don't have ill feelings about that song like
Okay.
you do.
Okay. And
Um,
what about the one on Psycho Circus?
right, that's the other one
Oh
you
yeah,
hate.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you like those songs better than
Oh,
Boomerang?
much better, much
Okay.
better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like Bohemian Rhapsody and Stairway to Heaven compared to this song.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
I probably agree with you there.
yeah.
But you wanted the best, you got the best
This
of Boomerang.
Boomerang. I just think that chorus is just so pitiful that it just rains on me so much.
Yep.
All right, scary Gene, back off. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep. Mhm.
At least this chorus, not great. It doesn't really, it's just like, a boomerang.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And it's the reason why this is the last song on the album. No, no, no is the fourth song on Crazy
Mhm.
Nights, this is like we need a double bass song. Let's put it on the record. And this is
Yeah.
number 15.
Yeah.
And it's not like that had fallen out of fashion at this
No,
point,
definitely not. Definitely not.
So
I'm saying I would like this as an instrumental. Anybody who's watching or listening out there with this AI equipment that exists, if you could strip all the vocals off of this and send me an instrumental version, I'd love to hear that.
I could do that for you.
You could, all right, there we go. I don't
Yeah,
even need somebody there. I got my bloody Vincent.
yeah, yeah. I'll do that
I'd
for
love
you.
to hear this as an instrumental, maybe fine tuning those electronic drums in this also. And what would I think of it as an instrumental to end the album? That would have been interesting to end the album with an
Mm.
instrumental heavy like that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I might have had a very different feeling about this song if it was called Boomerang as an instrumental closing the album heavy like that with better production. My toe level might have shot up quite a bit then,
Yeah.
but alas, that is not the case. So, what do our overall rankings of this album come out
Okay.
to?
Let me just make sure my math is right. Let me make sure my cells in Excel divided by 15 on both, 5 to 19. Okay. Um, my overall rating came in as a 4.6.
Oh,
Okay. And your overall rating came as a 5.36.
a little higher, not surprising because I like King of Hearts and Street Give It better than you. I think those are two songs that definitely
Mm-hmm.
raised my overall average.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've said this before, I'll say it again. This could have been a good album with 9 songs on it to me. Nine
I
songs,
agree.
throw on Eyes of Love, take off some of the shit sandwiches. I think the problem is if you poll the fan base, so many people have different opinions on what the shit sandwich songs are. So on
Yeah.
that hand, I say, and I know at the time we were really happy. 15 songs, wow, yeah, that's a lot of songs. Looking back, do you wish that they kind of fine-tuned this down to 9 songs? Or are you like, I'm glad they just threw it all out there?
That's a good question. Would have changed my opinion of the album overall. I guess I would have complained less. Oh, I guess it would have. So, and that's the, yeah, I'd probably say wish it was a shorter album. So it was
Mhm.
less stuff that bothered me about the record,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know?
I kind of feel like with the songs that I enjoyed, like the Betrays and the Silver Spoon, not Silver Spoons, King of Hearts and stuff like that. If you would have given production like they had on Revenge to those types of songs, I think this could have been a really, really solid album. Really solid.
Well, the thing is, I don't think, and I don't think you're going to disagree with me, Take Forever Out.
Mhm.
There's no two songs on this record to me that are better than Crazy Nights or um, Turn on the Night.
I would
I
agree.
think so on those two songs alone, and then there's some other good stuff I think on. I just think I know it's not the same amount of songs, but I think Crazy Nights is a much better record. It certainly bothers me a lot less
Yeah.
of the things that bother me
Song
about
for
that record.
song, yeah. Song for song, I think Crazy Nights as an album has aged better than Hot in the Shade.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Now
yeah.
we've touched a little bit about it, the tour, right? You saw them on the Hot in the Shade tour, right?
Hmm.
So you mentioned the Sphinx before and all that. What
I'm
was
still
your
trying.
over?
I'm still trying to file away that tour book. It still doesn't fit in my house.
Still doesn't fit in my
I was
house.
like, oh, I need a front door. Oh, I got the Hot in the Shade. I can make that as a screen door.
Oh, that's
I just
great. I
remember
love
getting
it.
that. I'm like, where am I putting this? I can see that. We were always about the mint. Don't wrinkle it.
Yes,
I'm like, oh,
don't ruin the mint. Yeah, yeah. But looking back on it, what are your thoughts on that tour? And even going back into your mindset of 1990, what were your thoughts?
wow, I was excited about it, and that tour was cool because I remember what they started.
I
Did they
Stole Your
bring back
Love.
Strutter? I Still
Yeah.
Love to play
Mhm.
Strutter. They were doing more of that stuff, and
Yes.
certainly that was great. And
Yeah.
I thought the tour was great for it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Look,
So
I agree. In fact, set list wise, it might be my favorite Kiss tour ever. I think
yeah.
it just really represented the best of the 80s. Obviously, there was a lot of songs from the 70s that came back. I wish Eric Carr's snare drum sound was better on tour. And if you go back and listen to some of those bootlegs, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
But it was such a fun tour. And were you at the last show at the Garden?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't think we went together though for some reason. I wonder why.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think we went together, together,
Yeah, because I know my
together.
brother was there,
Yeah,
or maybe we're just sitting different sections.
yeah. I wonder why that's the case.
I have to ask my brother Babar if he remembers.
Yeah, yeah. Ask your brother because I'm curious about that. But yeah. Little did we know at that time and that evening that that was going to be Eric Carr's final show ever.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Of course, we had no idea at all. But yeah, and that's I think one of the things that bothers me about this album, the fact that it was Eric Carr's final album with the band, and as we start off saying, this confusion as to even is he on the whole album? Is he playing on certain songs? Is he not playing on certain songs? it's just shame. And obviously, when they recorded the album, they didn't know it was going to play out that way. But it's a shame that his last album is kind of, so uncertain what he is and isn't even on it.
But
It's like,
certainly, there's not one song on this record where I hear drumming. I'm like, oh, that's a great drumming. Where Creatures of Night, like you could go to those
uh,
other records, Animalize, even Asylum.
yeah, I
All
always
right, so
loved the drumming on Forever, but there's questions of whether or not it's even Eric or if it's Kevin Valentine who said that he did the demo. So yeah.
yeah,
What were
so
you gonna say?
the bar has confirmed that you were not with us.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
thought I was with my now wife and a co-worker of hers.
John or Jay.
John, I know those are co-workers of mine. So I was like, obviously I went with her and with somebody else. Why wouldn't have I gone with you also?
Well, from what he's told me, it was me, him, and my ex-girlfriend. So maybe it had something to do with you with Yoda, and so who knows?
So we were both with our girlfriends, and obviously that meant we couldn't go together with our girlfriends.
Right?
It makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense.
yeah. So who knows?
Maybe
Maybe,
we decided there's only three in a crowd at once, and I went me, Jody, and a
yeah,
coworker. You went you,
yeah,
your ex-girlfriend, and your brother. And that's what we can't mingle six people together. I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe we thought that if we were trying to get six tickets at once, we wouldn't get as good of seats.
yeah.
Who the hell
Maybe,
knows? Do
maybe
you remember where
different
you
time.
sat for the show?
I feel like it was, towards the back left because I was looking at the
Okay.
stage. I
Yeah.
feel like it was like that.
I was more so on, I'll say, the Gene side of the stage, close to the stage, probably about two-thirds of the way up.
Hmm.
So we were nowhere near each other.
Yeah, yeah,
Who
yeah.
the hell knows? Who the hell knows? I don't know. Anything else you want to say about the Hot in the Shade album?
No, I mean, I know I went into it with guns a blazing, but
Yeah,
it's
your guns
just
are a little tame. I think you
yeah,
blew one out, I
yeah.
think, before we
Well,
started.
I think because back in the day, I just loved this record. I remember every song's great on the song. There's not one bad song on the record. We were all, and now I'm thinking back, I'm like, oh, well, but
So
yeah,
in 1989, there was not one bad song on the album. Everything is great. And now in 2025, would you say there's only one great song on the album? Everything else is not. Would you say that
yeah,
opinion almost completely reversed?
yeah. That's I think why when I listened to it, I'm like, wait a second, we gotta talk about this. We gotta talk
Yeah,
about this. You
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll be curious. I think this is not an album that is held in such high regard by Kiss fans. But I'm curious what Kiss fans think. What are their favorite songs on the album? Again, I always love to see people's comments and reviews and ratings. As we always say, our ratings are 0 to 10, five being average, seven and above being, your upper echelon songs. I'm curious to see what other people say. Do you think the album would have been better with less songs on it? Which
Yeah,
songs would you remove if you're going to do less songs? Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what people have to say. And of course, what did you think of the tour? And I'll say this before we wrap. I thought the image of the band, and you have the picture behind you, might have been the best look for the band in the non-makeup years. It just seemed
absolutely.
very natural to me.
Hmm.
Even though I know some of the pictures, Paul's wearing a cowboy hat. I'm like, boo, with the Sambora, get it off. But
Right,
and
right,
the
right.
Tonky for cowboy look. But I just
Yeah.
felt the band just looked very natural to me, and like they weren't trying to be something. I also even like this image better than the Revenge image, which always felt a little forced to me, on that
Hmm.
back album cover. But I love the picture on the back and all of that. But again, let us know what you think. Has this album stood the test of time? Is Boomerang the worst song in the catalog? There's so many things you can discuss and comment on with this.
Absolutely,
And we look forward to
absolutely.
see. And do you think Eyes of Love should have been on the album instead of Little Caesar? All right. Yeah,
Hmm.
plenty to talk about. Why is Read My Body not good, but Pour Some Sugar on Me is? Right? I mean, we covered so many different things. So I look forward to reading all the comments. As always, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bloody, for encouraging this a mere 2 hours before we get jumped on to do this. And hopefully we do it again soon. It's been far too long since we did one of these.
And I'd like to thank Gene over here and Paul and Bruce and Eric for still
And
putting the
that
record
that
out.
that was good. I mean, you pointed
See that?
perfect. You were like a weatherman pointing on the green map.
Yeah, yeah. You see that? How quickly I did that? I didn't even have
Yeah.
to. I didn't even have to caliper.
No, I can never do that properly. I'm like, oh, here's the Twisted Sister album, and here's the Meatloaf album. I can never do that, kid. So,
Yeah,
well, maybe you have a career as a weatherman after this.
at least it's something.
There you go. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching as always. Until then.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty, there you have it.
our thoughts and our opinions on the Kiss Hot in the Shade album and era. We look forward to seeing and reading all of your thoughts and your comments as well. As always, all opinions are welcome. There's no right or wrong answers. I just ask that everybody be respectful of each other. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on X and Instagram as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.